I think it was kind of having that thing that I couldn't have. When I was a kid, I saw the trailers for Nightmare on Elm Street, so those kind of movies on TV, and I really wanted to watch those, and my mother wouldn't let me. And then when we went to the video store, I always saw those were always the movies that stuck out to me because they looked so crazy.
At what age would you say you really became hardcore and this really became a passion?
Probably around like 13 or 14 when I was allowed to ride my bike to Sanford to go to Primetime Video, and they had the craziest selection. They were kind of like a Sanford's version of Videoport, and they just had everything, and I would just devour that all.
Do you like the really gory, splattery kind of stuff, or do you like the kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff? What do you like?
Definitely the tongue-in-cheek stuff. I like the gory splatter if it's fun. Like Dead Alive is a perfect example of a bloodbath, but it's not cruel. It's just good, bloody fun. I used to love watching USA Up All Night. I don't know if you remember that with Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Gottfried. And they would play all the B movies that were just Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama, stuff like that. The really goofy stuff that treaded almost into spoof territory. I kind of love.
All right, I want to talk to you about your podcast, but let's talk first about maybe just one or two of your recommendations, of your favorites. So let's start with whatever one you want to begin with. What's a movie that you love?
I love, our podcast did this one. This is a Slumber Party Massacre 2. These girls just play in a rock band together, and they just want to have a slumber party, but this weird ghost greaser 50s rockabilly musician shows up with a killer drill guitar and sings and does magic. It's pretty ridiculous. And another fun one's The Stuff, which is actually about killer yogurt, if you can believe that.
Killer yogurt?
Yes, basically there's a product that everybody's eating. It kind of looks like yogurt, like fluff, but it's actually alive.
Look at that, that's meant for us.
Let's talk about the podcast. You do a podcast with a friend of yours. What is the focus of it?
The focus is we just basically cover one of these kind of B cheesy movies every week. And that's the Funbox Monster Podcast is what it's called. Got this great shirt here to pimp it out. And I do that with Tristan, who owns Coast City Comics, which is a great shop here right in town, too.
How many have you done?
I think we're up to 60-something now. I mean, we're not a huge podcast by any means, but it is a lot of fun, and we cover a lot of fun movies. And if you like these kind of movies, you'd probably like hearing us joke about them.
Now, one of the things that's interesting about your enthusiasm for the subject is you are a VHS guy, and it's not easy to do that anymore. What are the challenges that you face in acquiring VHS tapes now, playing them, keeping the equipment going, and so forth?
Yeah, that can be challenging. I do have a stockpile of VCRs, and definitely some of them don't work, and it's still easy, surprisingly easy to still find VCRs in thrift shops. Tapes, on the other hand, most people have gotten rid of most of their stuff by now at this point in time. So finding neat tapes out in the wild, to call it, is kind of hard these days. But that's where a lot of these came from.
How many tapes do you have in your own collection?
I would humbly guess around maybe 1,000. And I only collect horrors and comedies. That's pretty much all I watch.
Give us another couple of recommendations.
Terror Vision is a very fun movie. This is about a monster that comes through a satellite dish. Do you remember when satellite dishes used to be the size of your house?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so basically a guy in this movie sets up a satellite dish and a giant monster comes through. And then if you want some local connections here, we can watch Maximum Overdrive. This is the only movie that Stephen King himself directed.
A lot of people have directed Stephen King novels and stories. And I finally decided if you want something done right, you ought to do it yourself.
And it's pretty terrible, but it's charming. I love it. It's about every machine and electrical appliance on the planet comes to life. Basically, your can opener can attack you.
And then you have one more recommendation, I believe, featuring the guy who is perhaps Maine's most famous celebrity right now.
Yes. Are we talking Mr. Dempsey?
Yes, we are.
Yes, Mr. Dempsey was in the stuff that I brought up earlier, but I also want to give a shout out to Cindy Williams, who was able to help me get my copy of Meatballs 3 signed by Patrick Dempsey. So Meatballs 3 is a great one too, if you haven't seen that and you like the Dempsey.
Are you watching even more movies now that we're staying in home or we're not out as much?
I'm gonna be. I've got a whole stack lined up. I've got the next 5 days off, so I'm definitely practicing safe distancing here, and I'm gonna be chilling at home doing that.